Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to show you the big B-pillar. I'm going to make the little piece for the B-pillar down here with a simple cardboard template, and we'll get that cut in. I've made up a new one. This is the inside rear rocker that we removed, the section that houses the jack support here, and obviously this is basically the beginning part of the rebuild as far as the deepest part, and once we get this new section in we'll be building from this. So this is a new piece of 16 gauge steel bent to the correct size with the correct radius. I'll show you what I did down in the shop, or I'll bring my form up. It's very simple, straightforward. It's a little tough working with the 16 gauge because it's so strong, but this shorter length is doable. So let's get started. I'll show you what template I've made up and then we'll get going on this. Now, you remember from the last video we need to make a new section here. I'm going to cut this off and make a new section, and the way we're going to do that is essentially I just got this old file paper here and I've cut my template and have held it up to the piece to make sure, and so we're just going to simply trace this out on a piece of metal, cut that out, and that will give us the correct bends to make that piece up there. See, so a little fiddly to do holding the camera, but you get the idea. So let's get that cut out of a piece of, this piece is 18 gauge steel, so a little easier to manage. So here we are, we'll cut that out. So I'm going to clean the metal up and tidy up those corners, and hopefully we'll be able to bend that into shape. Here it is part way bent, as you can see what we're trying to achieve here. I just needed to get the relationship, this width relationship correct before we started bending, and then I'll just clean all these joints up, bend that, and then bend the lip, and then do a little trimming and then weld this guy up. So you get the idea. So there you go. I just bent this by hand because as I say, this is 18 gauge and you can play around with it, and basically what I'm trying to get here is these corners nice and even. So I'll start to weld this up. So this is structurally stronger. Right, now I've welded these up. Obviously I haven't smoothed and tidied them up yet, but that's locked out in position, and then I've clamped a piece of steel to enable me to bend for our pinch weld lip. So this enables me to get it nice and at right angles with the curves, and so then I can just hopefully bend that up round about. We can fiddle around with it a bit. Let me just take that off. Yeah, I've got the general shape here. We've got to play around with it a bit here now, and then these can be bent, these guys can be bent this way. Right, so I've folded it, welded it, cut the end off, and then I'm going to have to bend these tabs up with a line here, and then I may actually tidy this up because bending the tabs up might restrict my ability to clean these joints up. So let me clean those up, get those all smoothed and really nice, and then I can draw my line to make this bend. That's fine, I know that's it pretty much made then. Like I've done before, I do the flats first, right? And then just do my little round over to get this a kind of a little radius. Even though this is hidden underneath steel and you'll never see this again, I want to try and still keep it as close to factory as I possibly can. So let me grind this up, and then we can fold those flaps. Right, so I've made my mark along the line, clamped it in my piece of metal again, sandwiched it, and as I say, 18 gauge, it's so much easier to bend. So we'll just bend this guy up now to get our flange, and then we'll crisp the edge with the hammer. So I'm going to crisp this edge up here, see it's rounded a bit here because I couldn't get in, so I'll crisp that up. It really doesn't matter because this isn't really attached to anything, it just sits there. And then what we can do, we can trim this up to the right length, tidy that up, and then this is where it pinches, welds onto the inner rocker. And then we're done with this guy. So that little 90°, all I got was this big hunk of metal, so I could get right in the corner there. Don't need a lot, just crisp that edge up really. Right, I'm just going to trim these little tabs up here, these wings so to speak, get those on the guillotine. That's those two, and then this one I'm going to leave as long as possible so I can always trim it up later. It's always a bit harder going through the weld. There we go. So there we go. There we have it. Looks pretty good, I think, really. So I'll tidy that little edge up there, but then this is where we punch through for that inner rocker. Wherever I cut it on the B-pillar, I will put a doubling plate underneath with spot welds through and then butt weld as well. It's just, you know, probably do a complete ring of it inside here, so it makes the joint extremely strong. So there you have it. So we'll get some probably paint the inside of this before, you know, so it doesn't flash rust or anything, and that's ready to weld on. Well, I thought I would show you us putting it in. So I run a cutter. Well, first of all, I supported this underneath with a heavy piece of steel, clamps locked onto the top so the relationship of anything doesn't move. Then I just cut this section out. As you can see, this is where I painted some coating earlier on when we were upside down, but you can see how heavily pitted that is in that area and just no structural strength left. So anyway, so I've got to just grind up this, clean that off, hold our piece up, get our marks where we're going to cut it, put that in and back it with some double it up, as I said before, and probably pre-coat this before this goes in. Makes it a little easier, even though inside of this rocker, before it goes into operation, I'll be using frame coating and surface shield. So let me get this butt joint tidied up and the thing offered up there ready to weld in. So there we have it. I spot welded all the way around this extra flange piece here, treated with their zinc primer, and then our new piece will spot weld into this and plus butt weld as well. Yeah, it's a bit of a pole vault over a mouse turd, as they say, but I kind of like the idea of making it as strong as absolutely possible. So I'm just waiting for the piece to dry. It's got some zinc paint on the inside to tide it over before we get this whole inner rocker coated with a fresh coat of cavity paint. So just waiting for that, and then we'll slip this on and see how it fits, shall we? I may just send these up ready so we've got a nice surface and then spot weld the new piece on. Here is our piece with our relative spot holes ready for spot welding, and then about 5 on the lower for the lower tab. So let's try and get this guy on now. There we go. So all we got to do now, spot weld this in, spot weld that, and then we'll run our tacks and smooth it all out so it looks nice. So there it is, all welded in. I coated it with a little zinc primer just to show where I've missed. I've got a couple of little spot welds there I've still yet to fill here, here and here. I'll come back and do those in just a bit, but I just wanted to finish this video up. Hope you enjoyed that. It was a little bit of a fun project. I could have cut one off of my spare car, but I figured you'd probably prefer to see one being made from scratch. A little bit more interesting than just hacking an original off and putting one on. So anyway, there we have it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. Before I go, I wanted to show you how I formed up the rear rocker section that I showed you earlier. This piece, as I say, wanted to get these radiuses just like the factory radiuses. We've still got to bend our lips and do some other work on this before it can go in, but to get that nice bend at the correct distance for the jacking point, all I used was a lump of wood I had lying around the shop, got a correct width, again using the original distances on the inner rocker, and cut a radius with a router bit here. As you can see, these are not dead straight, not dead at 90 degrees. I cut them over 90 degrees to allow for spring back, because the metal will go so far and then spring back. That's all the reason I did that. This width is good, and so I won't show you right now, but essentially just clamping the steel in here in a vise. And because it's a fairly short piece, with a pair of gloves on, I was able to bend the rocker with a little firm push, you know, without wailing on it with a hammer, and it bent over about so much, and then I was able to, in the vise, work it the way further over. And so that is how I did it, and you'd have to come up with a similar type of setup with clamps, wood clamps, whatever. So pretty straightforward really. So anyway, so that's for another time. Thanks again for watching, guys, appreciate it. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and please put down in the comments if you've got any questions or tips for me, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, have a good one, take care, bye bye.